Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of Inside the Creator's Mind. My name is Taylor. I'm the creator of Legion's Realms at War TCG, and today's topic is actually going to be that exact thing. Why a TCG? So, in the gaming world, there are many facets to everything from tabletop games, RPGs, trading card games, collectible card games, deck building games, as well as, of course, we go into video games and other things like that. So why the TCG medium? Why take a trip into this? Why look at this as a career path? And why exactly is this the dream? Is this the bread and butter? This is what you want to do, right? So there's a lot to unpack there. I think that when people first look at it, they look at, oh, I should be able to do that. It looks fairly easy. It's, we creating thoughts, you put it on paper. I think everybody did that as a kid, I think everybody went through and, played games, whether it was Magic or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! When you first started out, anywhere from 20, 25, 30 years ago. And everyone had access to those cards or watched the shows and wanted to make their own game, so they wanted to write stuff out on these little scrap pieces of paper, tuck them into, or create your own cards or tuck them into card sleeves and battle it out with their friends and do little hand-drawn scribbles and stuff like that. And I think there's a child in all of us there. I think that all of us really want to rekindle that part of our youth. I think that we're in a position, much like myself, when you're like, this is a long time dream. You created this stuff back then, you wanted to create it now in your adult life, and you may have found an avenue to do so. And I think that specifically in the past 2 years, we've seen a big influx in the gaming sphere, in the trading card game space, and I think that is a huge uptick in creativity from people. But it's also, I think, part and parcel due to the COVID lockdown that happened most recently in our world, and people were indoors. More people were left to their own devices. They were either thinking of ways to generate capital. A lot of people lost their jobs. I think that a lot of people wanted to rekindle some of that nostalgia that they grew up with, whether, like I said, whether that was the TV shows or movies or those card games. So you started seeing a big uptick in the collectible market specifically, and I think you saw everything start to rise in terms of people busting out their old collections, going back into their attic, digging it out of the back part of their closet. You saw a big collectible boom. And with that, you saw a lot of people reminiscing what it was like to make your own game. And now you had this recipe where you couldn't be at work, you couldn't be out with your friends, you're really feeling nostalgic, and you want to really does dive into your imagination. You go stir crazy, otherwise you're bored inside, trying to self-isolate or stick to your own bubble and stuff. So I think that a lot of those games were byproducts of that. I think a lot of people jumped in and decided, hey, you know what, I got some extra income, I'm not doing a whole lot right now, and I have this awesome idea, let's run with it. And that, accompanied with the collectible boom, I think a lot of people looked at that as a way of getting in and making some money, maybe trying something or expanding on a dream they wouldn't have normally had in regular society where everything was run of the mill. So I think that's where a lot of people got excited. A lot of people jumped in and boomed on that TCG jump. And I think that's where a lot of these creatives, a lot of these creators jumped up and started producing games. Whether they were thinking about it and it was brewing for a little while, or they just thought about it and, let's make it a reality. And with the recent success of, MetaZoo and the early days of Kickstarter for TCGs, they saw that kind of work. And then when Flesh of Blood came along, Legend Story Studios, and they kind of bursted the door wide open for new indie TCGs that were outside of the main three collectible ones. I think it really opened the floodgates for a lot of these people, and a lot of aspiring business people and stuff, and myself included, right? So I think with that in mind, going back to why make a TCG, why jump into this gaming sphere, and that aside, I think for me personally, I've been developing legions for the past 10 years. We're in a better part of a decade now. With a background of television and film, these were rich characters and a rich storyline in a world that was all originally part of a screenplay for me. So, with the concept of the creation of Future Lore Studios, it was a matter of bringing these characters to life, bringing them off the page, visualizing them, working with an art team, and really encapsulating what has been locked in my mind for so many years, and making that into using trading card games as a medium to display that. I looked at that as something that would be probably an easier platform, an easier way to get it out, and ultimately better financially to be able to do something like that than have to pay for the equipment and a massive studio and pay actors, and just get that in front of a production audience, right, in front of a production team, or pitch that to a studio, or just trying to make that into a television or film just seems something so astronomical to try and do, and providing on top of that with COVID hitting the world and a lot of those things stopping, right? So I kind of created a perfect storm for me, I think. I had been long developing it, long designing how I wanted it to be, and I think the hardest part, to be honest, is the actual design element of the TCG, like building the game mechanics, building how it functions, the interactions, the intricacies of the rulings. I think that a lot of that, most of that is hammered out. There's always updates to rule books and things that people catch that you normally come across, or whatever, little small interactions that we're not either there in the first part, or with each expansion interactions pop up. So there's always some edits and modifications and growing pains with the rules and stuff like that. But I think overall, going back to the core answer of why TCGs, I think that it's just the best medium. I spent 17 years playing trading card games, and I had a world that had characters, and why not take something that I really loved as a hobby, and something that was a passion of mine, and an idea and a concept that I created, and smashing them together. And was our timing the greatest in terms of launching around the other time that other games and stuff were doing the same thing? There's something to be said about jumping in and riding that wave. Would we have liked to launch a year earlier? For sure. And I think Flesh and Blood would really hit at the right time, and for that regard, releasing just before or just prior to COVID lockdown, they did a really good job navigating through those troubled waters, I think. And as a result, they were ready and there when the boom happened. And a lot of us on the other side, the other indie TCG creators, we were either in the middle of the boom or on the backside of it. And and now it's a point of, you've seen so many games come and go in the past 2 years that it leaves you to wonder, back to that question, why a TCG? And I think it's a passion project that you work hard on to make it into a lifestyle and a career. You got to have faith in it. You got to love it, because it doesn't always love you back. So I think that's just a basis to the inside of the mind, I think, of a creator in this aspect, and the TCG space as a whole, and starting out, why is a TCG? Quite simply because I love it. I love to be part of it. I love to be creative. I love the concept of creating something and pulling it from my mind and getting it visually made, putting it into a card and getting it into people's hands, and seeing that excitement, seeing that love, that passion that you had in all the other games you played growing up, and seeing that resonate with other people, and that they are enjoying the creation that ultimately came out of your head. So whether that has ego attached to it, or just a sense of pride and accomplishment, but we're incredibly proud of what we've done thus far, and I think that we're going to continue to be proud the way we are headed, to be honest. Releasing this many products, we're on to essentially product 5 now in just under 2 years. That's almost unheard of from a small indie company, right? So the answer to the question, why TCGs, is because we love it, because it's a part of me. It became a part of me at a young age. It's always remained a part of me. These characters have grown with my mind developing over the years, and this story, just like when we read a book or watch a movie or a television, it's to escape from reality. And sometimes when reality is not the greatest, sometimes when the world's a little shaken up, or your personal world has come crashing down, sometimes an escape is all you really need. And whether that's you find that comfort in movies, in television, in music, in games, we're just another avenue for that, an outlet for creativity, the concept of building your own deck, creating something that is personally yours. And I think overall, that's the real answer, is why TCGs. Because why wouldn't you want to bring your dream to life? A lot of people in their lives don't get a chance to live their dream or even try it. And to be able to just grab it and go is amazing, and it's something to be definitely proud of. And I think that that's ultimately the answer to why TCG. So that's it for this first episode. We're gonna keep these short, and we're just gonna do little segments of some questions here and there, and answer, and maybe get to know a little bit more about me, a little bit more about the game, and a little bit more about what makes Legion so special. And I think that we need that now more than ever. I think the community at large, and the people who are following along, watching the videos, listening to the podcasts, keeping tabs on our market, I think they just need to see more. I think they just need to hear more, and we shed some light on this great game, this great company, this great community that we have behind us. So until next time, guys, this was the first episode of Inside the Creator's Mind, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening, and I hope you stick with us. Bye, y'all.